Su Nuraxi is a Nuragic archaeological site in Barumini, Sardinia, Italy. It was included in the UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites in 1997 as Su Nuraxi di Barumini. Su Nuraxi simply means the Nura in Campidanese, the southern variant of Sardinian language. Su Nuraxi is a settlement consisting of a 17th century BCE Nura, a bastion of 4 corner towers plus a central one, and a village inhabited from the 13th to the 6th century BCE, developed around the Nura. They are considered by scholars the most impressive expression of the Nuragic civilization and were included in the UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites in 1997. Nura structure. The oldest part of the Nura consists of a central tower with 3 superposed chambers. Was built in blocks of basalt between the 17th and 13th centuries BCE. Later, during the Late Bronze Age, 4 towers joined by a curtain wall with an upper balcony were built around the central tower, all communicating with an inner courtyard served by a well. During the Iron Age, the complex was surrounded by a heptalabate curtain wall. The real function of the Nura is still debated. The discoverer of Su Nuraxi, the archaeologist Giovanni Liliu, confirmed the traditional interpretation of fortress site. Other archaeologists believed that the oldest part of the dolmen was destined for a religious purpose, refuge, civil or even parliament, or registered the village chief, while the towers were added perhaps intended for military purposes and stock. Village. A village, intended to accommodate the surrounding population, was built around the Nura in the Late Bronze Age. The village consisted of about 50 huts, and was built on a circular plan with large boulders covered with dry stone walls and conical roofs made of wood and branches. Though the huts were structured in a single unit in more remote periods, there was a later, more prevalent tendency to subdivide housing into individual units. Of the huts found, the most significant appear to have been reserved for meetings of the local leaders. These huts were larger and more complex in structure, and the hut reserved for the inhabitants' meetings contained symbols of the deities worshipped by locals. Other rooms have been identified as workshops, kitchens, and agricultural processing centers. During the 6th century BCE, the buildings were destroyed and subsequently restored by Carthage before being occupied by the Romans. They were eventually completely abandoned. The Nura and the village were strategically connected to the system of other nurages, such as the polylobate Nura found beneath the 15th century Palazzo Zapata in the village of Barumini. Archaeological excavations. The archaeological site was fully excavated between 1950 and 1957 under the direction of Giovanni Liliu, a local expert. The excavations allowed archaeologists to retrace the different stages of the construction of the towers and surrounding village, confirming that the entire complex was a vibrant, vital center up to the 1st century BCE. During the Roman period, excavations brought to light important remains in the form of tools, weapons, pottery, and ornaments. This site is essential to an understanding of the timeline of Sardinian civilization. The relative chronology of Sardinian prehistory is largely based on the first modern excavation of a Nura at Su Nuraxi, Barumini. Giovanni Liliu used a combination of structural phases and pottery typology to construct a general Nuragic sequence. There is another important Nuragic site at nearby Casa Zapata, the important finds of which are on display at the site's museum. Su Nuraxi, seen on the way from the central tower to the east tower. Su Nuraxi. Inside the central tower, the man here is 1.80 meters. Su Nuraxi. Bibliography. Dyson Stephen L., Roland Robert J. Shepherds, Sailors, and Conquerors, Archaeology and History in Sardinia from the Stone Age to the Middle Ages. Philadelphia. University of Pennsylvania, Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology. ISBN 97819345360-2-5. Sardegna Cultura, Barumini, Complice di su Nuraxi. Giovanni Liliu and Raimondo Zucca, su Nuraxi di Barumini. Cesari, Carlo Delfino, 2001.